Good evening, everybody. Welcome to LessonPix Live. I hope you all are doing well and that the storms aren't causing you issues.
A lot of people in the whole South are getting a ton of rain.
Yeah, we are too. We are not at the home base in Florida. We have evacuated to North Carolina. We are very stressed about our stuff down there, but it's just stuff, right?
No, but
you keep telling me it's just stuff.
That's just stuff.
It's just stuff.
What matters is here.
Yeah.
And in safe places elsewhere.
Yeah.
So, but we do give our thoughts and prayers out to everybody affected by the storms,
especially those in the Big Bend area. There are going to be people who are going to be devastated by this. I am thankful that it probably will not be any of our folks. So that's great. But welcome to LessonPix Live. We have great special guests today.
Really do.
We do. We've been wanting to get this person on. You've got a nickname. We'll probably talk through that.
Well, I mean, we talk about her on a lot of different shows.
And she's always in the comments.
And then she brought someone with her today.
She did. She brought her partner in crime. So,
oh boy,
we were talking about our special guests, which means I have to use your video, right?
Oh yes.
Yes.
What's it?
It's actually special guests.
It's supposed to have an S.
Supposed to have an S on it. So
what's that next time?
All right. So our special guests are Kelli Suding. Hi. Now we can see you, Kelli. Are you sitting still or are you?
Oh, I see.
Frozen.
Oh, we're just kidding.
I
almost hyperventilated. My face was getting ready to.
Y'all are the worst. You're just complete poops. Right.
Hey, friend.
You are troublemakers. You always have been. Michelle, I didn't know you were a troublemaker. I did
know.
I
am. No. She is a troublemaker. I've witnessed the trouble she made. Yeah. It's good trouble. It's okay.
So let's talk through who these folks are. So Michelle Soriano, Kelli Suding are both from CAST, which used to be an acronym but is not anymore. Is that correct?
That's right. Just like Madonna.
But CAST is the center that is in charge of a great deal of things, including UDL. You guys did work years ago on the predecessors to UDL. You've done a lot. And Kelli, we know you more from Indiana.
That's right.
Because you were at Patents for years and years and years and years. Yes?
Yes.
But now she's more down in my neck of the woods. She's in the larger Metro DC area.
That's right. Where the traffic is not tractors. It's traffic.
Yeah, no, it's awful.
On the East Coast. It's amazing.
It's horrible traffic.
Uh-huh.
And Michelle, I don't know where you are. Where are you?
Hey y'all.
You're in Texas.
Texas. Yes, I'm in the suburbs of Houston. So talk about bad traffic. I mean,
Houston's awful. Yeah. It's almost as bad as it's just horrible.
You might win.
You might win. Yeah, of us, I don't know. DC is awful too. You all are. We do not have your traffic.
We won.
We won. You all lost.
We only have traffic from December to Easter.
That's right. We only have like 4 months of traffic when the snowbirds are in town. But
I love that we're starting positive. I love this.
Good to meet you. And you guys are you are recently paired. You've known each other, I guess, for a while, but you're doing lots of stuff. We're seeing you on Reels and on Shorts and on Facebook and being goofy and bringing UDL to the masses. Is that a safe and accessibility too? Is it more AIM or is it more UDL?
Yeah. So Michelle and I are both on the accessibility team at CAST. And you know what? We've only known each other for a little over a year, but we became fast forward friends because we're both passionate about the work. So yeah, we're on the team. So we're trying to get the word out on all things, just like the title, all things UDL and accessibility tied to that. So
I mean, and how can you not love Kelli? I mean, as soon as we met, we were like, boom, this is going to be amazing. We're going to get to do some great work together.
So I'm not sure how you can't love Kelli because I wasn't given that option. You just kept showing up at dinner.
I did.
Every night.
Along. I'm like, come on, Kelli, come
every night. No, even when you weren't there, she was coming to dinner. So she got the nickname the Squatter because she would just show up at dinner, and I'm like, "You work for me? Are you working the booth? Are you a contractor?"
Had I known that hiding under the table in your booth was frowned upon, I mean, I would have never done it. But here I am.
Well, listen, we are glad you're here now, and we are going to talk about UDL. I guess step one, and I'll turn this kind of over to you guys. Give us in a nutshell what the heck is UDL and what are we talking about, and then we'll talk about accessible materials as well.
Yeah, so we're not going to do death by PowerPoint, but we wanted to make sure that you had resources to walk away with. So we have created a lot of resources on what UDL is and accessibility. So we have this bit.ly, which is bit.ly/cast24LP, and also a QR code on there. And it doesn't look like these slides, but it has all the how-tos, all those things. So when we're done here, then you have the resources to dive into. So
Awesome.
yeah.
I'm just going to mention, because sometimes people don't realize in bit.ly, the capitalization matters. So make sure you use uppercase for cast and LP.
Thank you, friend. You're exactly right. So we thought we would just talk a little bit about what UDL is and start from there.
Cool.
Everyone can ask us some questions. Oh, we already know us. Oh, look at that. Some of our symbols are coming from where, Michelle?
What? LessonPix.
Oh, I have to go back.
UDL.
Look at that.
Okay.
Oh, your ASL pictures.
So
Yeah.
That's adorable.
We had so much fun. Oh, so Michelle, what do you think? Just briefly.
So as Kelly said, we're from CAST, and y'all, CAST, our mission is to really, our hope is to lead, inspire, and convene a community, global community, national community, all across, to really build conversations so that we can design better, so that we can design equitable, inclusive learning experiences for everyone. And we do that by leveraging the Universal Design for Learning framework.
Oh, this is cute.
Oh, so just so you know, just to get started, we want to make sure that we're like modeling what we're like. We're not just lip service. So when you dive into our slides, they are accessible. We follow the principles of POUR, which you're going to have the resource. And we're going to talk like just briefly about what that means after we go through a universal design for learning. So it's perceivable, operable, understandable, robust. They're not real fancy, although our letters are just so stinking great right now. Michelle, right?
I love it.
Right? Yeah. So just be mindful of that when you go through our resources. That's what we're doing there.
And really exciting is, in the field of education, we are always looking to adapt and grow and update. And the newest version of the UDL guidelines, that is 3.0, it just dropped in July. And this version really focuses on learner agency. So really thinking about how are we making sure our learners know exactly what it is that they need in order to engage, in order to make things relevant, have that meaning, keep pushing forward. And so we're just really excited about that. So what is UDL? Y'all, UDL is a mindset, right? It's thinking about how we're designing. So what research tells us is that there are some barriers that are predictable. So for example, when I was a classroom teacher, I could tell you every single year in 4th grade, the students coming up were going to struggle on plot elements. They were going to struggle on rounding. They were going to struggle on comprehension. Those are what we call predictable barriers. And y'all, if they're predictable, then we know that we can plan and be proactive in designing for them from the get-go. And so that's what we use the Universal Design for Learning guidelines and the framework is to really help us. And so what you're looking at when I say the guidelines, poof, this is the guidelines, y'all. They are broken down into networks, in principles. So we have how are we engaging our students in multiple ways? Because, we all like different things. How are we making sure that we're providing multiple means of representation? Because learner variability is the norm. We all take in information in different ways. And then how are we making sure we're providing multiple means of action and expression? How am I letting my kiddos know that they learned what they were supposed to learn, right? It's all about giving them that agency, giving them that choice so that they can engage in that. And what's nice is within the guidelines, so you see the bold words in each of those 9 boxes. That is the actual guideline. Those are the predictable barriers that can happen in any given setting. And then the little bullet points underneath, those are called considerations. And those are things like, well, if this is a barrier, these are some things I should be considering. Have I provided choice? Have I thought through accessible materials? So what Kelly and I get to do is look at where does accessibility really fit within the UDL guidelines? And y'all, the answer is everywhere. But to kind of break it down just a little bit, you'll see 3 rows. And that first row is all about the access, It's what we're doing and designing to make sure that everybody can access the environment and the materials that we're using. Then that second row is all about that build. So you think about scaffolds, right? We're trying to scaffold and give our students the skills and the tools that they need. That's where we're going to consider those things, so that they can, at the last row, it's all about executive functions. And that helps individuals internalize, organize, and really build up their self-understanding, so that they can monitor and really support themselves throughout that learning. So accessibility is built in through all of those components.
Yeah, you know what, friend? I think our friend Beth here knows a little bit about UDL. How did you get into Universal Design for Learning?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm old and I've been around a long time. No, I had the great fortune to be mentored for much of my career by Denise DeCoste, the amazing Denise DeCoste, who worked really closely with a wide range of folks or when UDL first, became a thing earlier in the early 2000s or something like that. And so I had the great fortune to be mentored by her. And then I had the amazing opportunity to for 3 years of my career to be the Universal Design for Learning specialist on the curriculum team with Montgomery County Public Schools in Maryland. And this was just at the time that Universal Design for Learning became a part of the state of Maryland's Code of Maryland regulations. And so they were early adopters of building UDL into the requirements for the legal requirements for how we educate students. And so I just had the great fortune of being the person that sort of got to make sure that it was being disseminated throughout our elementary curriculum. That was the team that I worked on. So yeah, and it's just always been something that I very strongly believed in, and just appreciate the shout out. But if anybody, I did co-write this book. I didn't plan this. It just happened to be sitting on my desk, guys, really. But this is a book where it is incorporating Universal Design for Learning throughout it. And as a matter of fact, last year we did a cooperative set of webinars with the folks at CAST through their sites grant, I guess it was, where we collaborated with you all and did some professional learning and some professional training with the folks from sites. And so, yeah.
I love that. And you know what? One of the things that I love most about this and the conversations is because what I hear a lot of times is, man, that UDL stuff, it's a special education thing, right? And no, y'all, UDL is an everybody thing, right? It's what we use when we're planning our tier 1, our very first instruction, but it also supports students who have disabilities. And so some of the things I've seen in my own experience with one of my own children is that, students who do have disabilities, they don't want to be using all different stuff, right, that nobody else is leveraging. But when we look at Universal Design for Learning, we take that mindset of what is required for some could be beneficial for all. So why not provide it and give it as an option or a choice for everybody? And what you see is those who require it are actually willing to use it. Say what? They're using their supports because it's offered to everybody. And
good. All the people who are supporting them, the teachers and the paras, know it because they're using it for everybody, not for the 3 people who it's on their IEP. Right? It's used throughout the classroom. Right? I'm an engineer. Okay. I'm a non-educator at all. Right. But I can give you my view of this, which makes it outside of view of it. Listen, these tools are useful. They're they're required by the people who were in self-contained units or special ed units or things like that, and are now hopefully integrated well. But they're needed by those folks, but they are useful to everybody. Everybody can use visual supports, and everybody can use labeling in the classroom, and everybody can use the ability, they may only need it part-time. Right? They don't need, on a day-to-day basis, they don't need a core board, but when they've melted down and have lost it, they do.
Yeah.
They need support in specific circumstances or in some specific settings. And the key here is you've got to be, and this is where I'm going to pull it back to LessonPix for a second. You've got to be able to supply it for everybody, which means it's got to be accessible financially. Right? You've got to be able to have a tool, make it easy to use, and make it so that everybody can have it, which is one of the big drivers for why our price is ridiculous. Right?
Yeah, right.
It's, even Lori now agrees that our price is ridiculous. That took years of getting there. So we have taken you far afield from your deck. Do you want me to go back to it? Are we good?
Oh, well, can I say hot flash live? Because I feel like look at my neck. It's like,
Let me see.
I'm kidding. Now I said it live. I said hot flash live.
You can say hot flash live. You can do any non-4-letter words and a few 4-letter words.
We are real. If anything, we are real, right?
That's right. So I love that we're here at LessonPix and the visuals, and Michelle and I've been talking about specifically visuals this week, when our students get dysregulated and if you're only giving them the option to respond verbally or writing, right? And they're just not in a space to do that. And so designing our environment with, aligned with, the needs, I think can be a game changer for that. So with that kind of goes into accessibility within universal design for learning, because we have a colleague that says you can have accessibility without UDL, but you can't have UDL without accessibility. Right. And so Michelle and I are like super passionate about that work. So we're just going to talk a little bit about the new guidelines specifically talks about accessibility. So like, for instance, like your visuals, right? And all your visuals on LessonPix have alt text, which is awesome. So if we have our students who are using a screen reader, they'll have, access to that as well. And so in saying that, when we talk about accessibility, when it comes to like, say, literacy, sometimes we have educators say, well, I have a student who uses a screen reader, or maybe our student has dyslexia and needs to use text to speech. So just because something's digital does not mean it's accessible, right? So if we were pulling, LessonPix visuals and putting them on the slide with no alt text, it's digital, but then it's not any use for our learners because they can't have access to the actual content that's on there. So digital does not mean it's accessible. It just means it's available. So we want to just start with that. And then when we talk about accessibility, we'll want to make sure we highlighted what the definition of accessibility is from the Office of Civil Rights. So I'm going to read this for accessibility purposes. And we have a nice visual of someone saying, what is it? So a person with a disability can acquire the same information, can engage in the same interactions, enjoy the same services in an equally effective, equally integrated manner with substantially equivalent ease of use as a person without a disability. So again, if we had a student who's dysregulated at the time, is really upset, is underneath the table, and all we're saying is verbally saying, get out from under the table, right? The goal is to, get to the next class or whatever. Instead of just keep verbally responding, if we're not designing our environment to give them that visual or some other kind of cue for them to come underneath the table, then the goal is shifting. And so it's not like we had someone say accessibility is not extra steps, it's just the steps we've missed. And I truly believe that when it comes to accessibility. Does anyone want to pipe in about specifically that?
I will only give a caveat that we are imperfect on our accessibility on LessonPix, and we are improving. But I think it is important that we say we are not, there is no 100%, right? The answer is that is the goal, and that is what accessibility means. And we all can strive to be better at it, everybody.
Absolutely. And I think you made a great point, right? Nobody's ever going to be 100% accessible for any one individual, right? And we don't know what we don't know until we know it. And so when you know better, we can do better. And so I think that's the great thing about this platform here is that we can come together and learn from one another, and then go back and reflect and look at how can I make this better? How can I make sure that I'm thinking about the different aspects? So y'all, if you are not like 100% sure, that's okay. It is okay. Kiss your brain for being here and having a conversation because we are all in this together.
That's right. And at CAST, we have what's called a UDL. So we have different UDL certificates. So we have like UDL product certification, which helps, educational, vendors and to go through a UDL, and we like talk about accessibility, send you're certified. So like we have supports because accessibility again is like the core of UDL to provide that. Because like Michelle said, like if I could list all the mistakes I made as an educator because my content was inaccessible, oh my gosh. Right. But I think sharing, those stories, like I never did it right. And I always share this. I just shared this today about the student who, he has autism, he had a learning disability, and I created this math lesson, and I was like, today's day, and thought I was being the one engaged with him. He didn't have any assistive technology. He should have. And so I talked for like 10 minutes straight. And I said, okay, are you ready for the math lesson? And he looked at me and he said, are you growing a mustache?
Well,
yeah.
Yes, I am.
I mean, yeah, I am. No. So he became disengaged because what I was doing was inaccessible, and I learned from that. But for the record, I always share this too. This was the same student who my colleague would always like write up on the smart board, and she wears short sleeve. He's like, why do your arms jiggle like that? So,
nice.
You're in the club.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Chicken wings unite.
That's right. So keeping it accessible. Oh, Bill, I thought you were going to say something.
I was not, but I can. I was leaving the "Are you growing a mustache?" question to somebody else. too much estrogen in the room for me to go there.
I mean, I'm sweating. I don't want to take my sweater off because my arms are jiggle. Are you okay? Are you so happy that we're here? Hi, Fred. Oh, yeah. So glad you're here. So
I'm looking forward to going to the drag club, diner again at Closing the Gap in a month.
That's right. It's gonna be amazing. So essentially what we're talking about is access for all. So like we have an icon here, like some disabilities look like this. So our type icon has maybe someone with blindness, low vision, using a cane. And then we have someone in a wheelchair. And then the next icon is someone with crutches. We can see visually these disabilities. So automatically accessibility is not even questioned. We're moving our environment. Oh, you need visuals, you need Braille, you need large print. Oh, maybe your student's non-speaking. It's not even a question. We're offering all of these things. Visuals are in hand. We're all prepared. But then some disabilities look like we can't see the disability. Right. And so this is where accessibility is, it's in the question. This is where we hear, oh my gosh, this is cheating. Oh, they don't need those visuals. They're just being lazy. They don't want that just because we cannot see the disability. And so with UDL, it really thinks about learner agency and thinks about all students, where this kind of takes that away because we're prepared for any student and we're honoring their power. The environment can be the barrier. It's never our learner. Right. Is what we're not providing.
Right. We got a note from Melissa, right? It's about ensuring the information being shared with the learner in the ways that they have to have them show us what they know work for who they are as learners, right? It's about what can they do and how do we adapt to meet their needs, right?
Yes, I love that. And she says who, and I mean, Alyssa should be on here with us. I mean, she's the reason why I'm a squatter. But the who, that was a big shift with the new UDL guidelines. It used to be about the what, the why, and how. And so the feedback was about who, what about our students? And so that's a big shift. So, yeah.
Gotcha. It has to be you. That is whose dog is it?
Oh, that would be mine.
Okay.
So I think I'm just
muted so y'all knew it wasn't.
I kept muting people hoping to get rid of the dogs, and it kept staying. And I'm like, oh, it's Kelly.
It was me. It was me. So they're gonna bark.
Are your dogs okay?
Everybody's good.
Okay.
Everybody's good. Thanks for asking.
You're welcome.
So we're here. So why? So we're talking about UDL. We're talking about accessibility. So why? I mean, in technologies, like why does this even need to work together? So just know that no matter what students we're working with, that decoding the content and interacting with and responding to the content, these are all different skill sets, right? So if we have a student who doesn't have access to, to functional communication or is not getting access to those, but maybe, so what I mean is different skill sets. We can have, let's say, a junior in high school, okay, whose beginning reading level is first grade. right? So we're giving them support to work on reading, but their comprehension is at grade level. So they should have access to grade level curriculum. So this is where the technologies and the assistive technologies and our content being accessible can really support our students, because we really want them to be able to show what they know, right? And they can do that. And we don't want to be the one, because we're not, sitting by them all day long. I mean, that's why we have visual schedules, right? So, our students can be more independent. And I'll never forget the one time I went into a school, and I was observing, I was supporting students with more intensive needs. And the little boy, just adorable as all get out. And this is probably why, because he was adorable. And he gets off the bus and he walks in front of the classroom and he just stands there. And he has his backpack on, he has his coat on, he's just standing there. I was like, okay, what's happening here? And just watching. And then the paraeducator comes out, takes his backpack off, puts it in his cubby, takes his coat off, puts it in the cubby, gets his lunchbox, puts it everything where he needs. Completely. I mean, what you don't know, right? Like, I was there when we feel like we're doing something for our students. We feel it's right because we're doing that for them, which is really a disservice, right?
Right.
And all this kiddo needed was a schedule.
That's right. Just learned helplessness, right?
Yeah. Just to be like, this is where I want to, what I need to do. So yeah, he was just it, and prompt dependency. Our students become prompt dependent based on what we're doing, right? And I have another story. Listen to this story. So, no, now I forget what the story was. Never mind. I don't have it.
Right, Kelli?
I
even made you bigger for it.
I know, bigger for the story. So I'm a parent. I have 4 amazing kids. Well, one of my kiddos went through the system and received special education services. And one of my biggest fear was when they transitioned to high school was like, oh my goodness, like my kiddo is not going to have their special education teacher when they graduate. How are they going to function? Like if we are not teaching them that independence and we are not giving them the resources and the tools and that learner agency, then I mean, that is a scary world out there. And so I had to have like a real hard talk to myself and say, okay, mom, I'm the barrier because I'm babying and I'm pushing, and I need to make sure that the teachers and I'm on the same page and making sure that we're giving him that opportunity to become independent. And let me tell you, y'all, he's graduated and amazing, doing so well, right?
Awesome.
All about getting that independence.
I'm just going to add something too. A lot of times people think about, a visual schedule, it's a scaffold, and they're going to have to learn how to do it without the visual schedule. And I remind people that you can pry my visual schedule out of my hand, like out of my cold dead hand, because don't take away my calendar, right? And so these are life tools, like, and yes, a child
Lori's got one right here.
Exactly. These are not things that we have to worry when we put these things in place so that learners can access them independently. It's not about weaning them off of them, because we all have strategies that we use to support ourselves.
Right. And Michelle, we have a note from somebody who's probably responding to your son's success, right? Debbie Schwinn is awesome, but she does all of the occupation
transition.
Yeah, but it's community-based instruction at in Loudoun, right?
Loudoun County Public Schools.
She's all about.
Thank you for what you do, Deborah.
Yeah, she's the best. She also did the art kit with Judy Schoonover. If you've ever seen Judy's art kit, they're amazing.
I love
we have
Judy.
amazing people in our comment section always.
Awesome. Judy, if you're out there in space, hey friend.
I want to be your friend too. Hi.
Come to Closing the Gap. You'll be friends with all of them.
Okay, yay.
Nice thing about Closing
Michelle,
the
you
Gap.
can hide under the table with me.
I'll be squatter too.
Oh my God, this is going to get
It's going to
expensive.
get expensive. Kelly already she eats a little, but she drinks a lot.
That is true.
Oh, I love this.
Right.
Okay. So
Let's
kind
go.
of like doing full circle. We came in here. We had no time frame. I mean, Michelle and I are going to take all night, but we're not. Okay. So just kind of circling back when it comes to universal design for learning, and just access for all of our learners, the components. So we have universal design for learning, UDL. That's the choice that's designed into the environment. And then our materials, that's the content. So Michelle always says the content, she does like gestures and all that. It's the information coming in, right, that we're learning. And it's the same content. It's just in that accessible format, the Braille, large print, graphic, tactile. And then the assistive technology. That's differing ways of accessing, interacting, and responding to the same content. We say the same content because, you know, we have to have presumed competence, right? We have to think about, just because it's hard for us, we want our students to have the goals the same. When we lower the expectations of our students, they feel that, right? Okay, you're in the A reading club, and then you're in the Z. I mean, everyone knows what A reading club is, and everyone knows what the T reading club is, right? It's lowering that expectation when a student, in fact, had the technology and the tools to be able to use text-to-speech or the screen reader, that they would be able to get to that goal more independently. So different, just components of UDL. And I think, so the rest we're just going to leave for resources, but just so you know, perceivable, we talked about that. Michelle, do you just want to say what that means?
Yeah. So how are you taking in, how are you able to absorb and really interact and engage with that content? And then really, just for the sake of time, y'all, when we think about operable, right? Can we maneuver through the document? Is it set up using styles? Are we using the headings? Can we navigate without having to scroll through everything if we don't want to? And can everybody, whether they're using a screen reader, whether they're going through and just scrolling with the mouse, whether they're just reading it through text, can everybody access it? And then understandable, y'all, let's make sure that we're using simplified language. Kelli and I laugh because sometimes we look at websites and I read it and I reread it and I reread it. I'm like, girl, I have no clue what they're trying to say here. Like, these are some big words and I need to look up half of them. And I've got degrees, right? So we want to make sure that we are bringing it down to earth so that everybody can understand it and use it. And then robust. So thinking about whether you are looking at it on a phone, on a tablet, on a laptop, it is going to work in any of those formats. You're able to get the same information. You're not being interrupted by the flow of things. It makes sense. The sequence is there. And y'all, if y'all have questions on, well, tell me more about this whole vetting thing for accessibility, we're here for you. We're here for you. Just reach out. We want to be your BFFs in this and help out any way we can.
That's right. The most beautiful lesson that we spend so much time on, if it's not accessible, is you're just going to have to just put it aside, right? Then it becomes retrofitting. So accessibility. And then we have the resources just creating. So how to do that, right? And so we have some supports, but Luis Perez, our dear friend and colleague at CAST, who
from our town, from St. Pete.
Yeah, he's hunkered down there in St. Petersburg.
Yep.
Woo, the storms, we're thinking of him. So he developed this slide. So it takes you through steps on creating content, whether you're using docs or you're using slides. And so slide stands for styles. We're thinking about the styles. That's our headings and the structure. Our links, making sure we have descriptive links instead of saying click here, because a screen reader can collect all of the links. And if everything says click here, you have no idea where to go, right? I mean, if I said, click here, one, you're going to win $1 million, and the other one, you're going to get fired. I mean, you're going to want to know which one to click, right? So it's important. And then the I is for images. That's our alt text, making sure what we have on your content is not just pretty stuff, but it's intentional on there. And if you do have it on there, it has alt text. And then the design, right? Just being consistent and nothing's just going to jump out at you. A screen reader user, if they're going to click on something and it opens up in a new tab, make sure that's labeled so there's no unexpected happenings that a visual reader will have more advantage of. And then evaluation. That's just making sure a student can get to it, they can get through it, and they can get out of it. So if a student is using a screen reader, they're using their keyboard shortcuts, they get there, but they can't get out, then they're stuck. So really evaluating your materials. And I will say that there's a lot of accessibility checkers. Accessibility checkers, we're only going to catch like 30% of the errors. I mean, that's inaccessible. So really thinking about the principles of POUR, thinking about slide will really help you do more of that manual testing. So,
yeah. So I have, so there are now very relatively, let me switch to this. there are some relatively good built-ins with Chrome right now, the Lighthouse and the others that will go through and find the technical issues with your site. But they're not going to change the way you thought about it when you designed it, right? And I will give you guys some homework. My wife's going to laugh at me. And Beth will recognize that she probably knows what's coming. But I make everybody at LessonPix read a book. I make them read this book right here called Don't Make Me Think. There you go. Beth has hers handy. I like that. Right? So if you want some homework, this is not UDL and it's not education, but the way you think from this book, okay, is exactly what you need to do a accessible, easy to use website. It's called Don't Make Me Think. It's been around for probably 15 years. I think this is like the third edition, right? Third edition.
Yeah.
And what he does is basically say, listen, they're not going to read the instructions. They're not going to read anything you write, right? You're designing for billboards. So you need this to be, get rid of all the words, get rid of half the words, and then get rid of half the words again, right? And then make sure they're the right ones left. And it is very much how LessonPix works. And it is why it's how we keep this simple, which is how we keep it cheap, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't do things that are difficult. We do things that are standard, right? It's like, don't come up with something new. If there's a standard, like, we don't have this, but like if you have a shopping cart, call it a cart. Don't call it, Shoporama or anything. Don't try to be cute. Don't make me think. Don't make me think, is that really what I want? I want help. The link should say help, right?
Yeah.
Or support.
I love that.
Not, learning center. No, it's a help button. I get a help button, right?
Yeah.
We're in book club.
No, what I hear you saying, Bill, is that Michelle and I are just magically going to have one in our mailbox. Thank you.
So I think I can show
right.
you. Here, I'll tell you what we can do really easily here. What I can help you out here with, I can.
I actually have 2 copies of it. 2 copies of it within reach. Is that scary or what?
Oh, look at that.
There you go. How about you guys just
We love a good. Well, it disappeared.
got a
But
good
that
QR
was
code that went away.
Yes, love it.
Oh, how about this? So everybody who wants that book, there you go. There's a QR code for buying the book. It's like nothing. It's like $30, and it's the best $30 you're going to spend. So, side quest completed, right? So, I think I understand UDL. Let's spend a minute while we're on this before we move on to something else.
Yeah.
So, why on earth are you two on our show? Right? Why are you on LessonPix's show?
Yeah.
Because when you need to make this stuff, we make it easy to make this stuff, right?
Yeah.
If you need to make this in PowerPoint for a student, we can do that. If you want to use our symbols in other tools, we let you. We don't lock you into ours, right? Did I mute you, Beth? I'm sorry.
Joe, I'm just laughing because of Judy's comment that she just put up. Why are they here?
Because we're squatters.
Squatters. There you go.
Beautiful scene by Judy.
So, but we are. This is part of where we come from. Lori is a pre-K special ed, but inclusion teacher since '95. Before I met you.
Yeah, 94. I started one of 2 inclusion units in Florida, and the whole school became inclusive the next year, which had its problems. There were a lot to work through back in those days. Not everybody understood the level of supports,
right?
That were needed in order for students to gain success.
And you probably didn't have the tools you needed.
Absolutely. We didn't know. We were,
So
sink or swim kind of thing. And the pendulum swings. So
we are full on believers in UDL. We also believe that this is going to sound self-serving. I don't know any other way to say it, but visual support should be a tier 1 option.
Absolutely.
Every classroom.
100%.
Yeah.
Not just because we want to make lots of money. Okay. Like, even if we give them away, we're not going to give them away. But like, seriously, the making this available to every classroom in the early childhood phase, at least, the Gen Ed early childhood needs the same supports. It is something that we're fervently believers in. We have 2 districts right now that are trying to get to this, right? So we've got a different licensing model that we're testing out with them that says, tell us how many might use it. And then our job is everybody can use it. And then we'll true up at the end of the year of how many did use it, right? Get an estimate at the beginning, and we'll true up at the end of the year. So we're going to see how that works. But the truth is that's really hard. And maybe you guys have some solutions for this. The problem from there isn't getting the teachers to get it, and it's not even getting the special ed department to get it. It's funding. How do you guys fund UDL? Because there's not one bucket of money that both supports the special ed kids and the gen ed kids, right? There's not. How do you do that? How do you get a champion in a special ed department to be able to go and champion this and get a tool in for everybody when we don't have funding for everybody?
Yeah.
Is there any advice here?
Well, I will tell you. So, I've been an educator for 20 plus years. My husband is a teacher currently, and we spend lots of money on, teachers pay teacher. There's different things that you can go and you can find things. Going to Target, looking at their dollar, that adds up. I will tell you, and I'm ashamed that I did not know about LessonPix earlier because I needed some pictures for some of my own personal kiddos at home and the communication. And Kelly was like hooking me up, and Beth, and I went in, and first of all, $36 for a year. I spend that in a heartbeat anywhere on any of these other teacher platforms, right?
Yep.
And as a former behavior specialist, I would spend hours upon hours doing what I did today with LessonPix in like less than 2 minutes. Like I am like blown away by that. And so I think it's just really, I think y'all did a great job by one, the cost is really affordable. And knowing that as an educator, I'm going to go out and I'm going to purchase things to support my lessons and my students. This is something, visual support is something that as adults we need. I need it as an adult. I need it. Right. It's preferences. It's good for all of our students. And so I think just making people, you don't know what you don't know until you know it, right? And shame on me for not knowing it earlier, but now that I know it, I want to go and I want to spread it, right? And I think that's a way that you can share.
We want you to too. We do.
No, don't you worry.
I know.
Cost sharing within the district.
Yeah, and a big part. Oh,
I'm
sorry.
with you in principle, but have you ever seen it work? Oh no, we lost Michelle. Oh, she's back. Have you ever seen it work? Has anybody ever made this work well? If so, listen, I'm Bill at LessonPix.com. Tell me how. Because we are actively trying to get this through in a couple of big districts. And it is a very hard, that really is the challenge. The people who understand it and want it and know it are in a position to buy it for the people who need it in a UDL setting.
Yeah.
So, sorry, go ahead.
Just real quick. I think we're, the power of student voice is like, if we have those teachers who are really like, oh my gosh, the visuals, like we need this because it's benefits for students, like taking that data and just doing like those student interviews about how visuals support you and what's it like if you don't have them, and like collecting all of that together and having students a part of the conversation because, it's like data speaks. This is how change happens. So it's like modeling it and then modeling it and tracking that data. Like this is how it started. This is how it's going. Right. And it's not going to
not just special ed students.
Exactly. All students. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think CAST should work with LessonPix to do a study and we'll provide licenses and you provide classrooms and do all the aggregation and put it together and we'll get it written. I think that'd be great. And you guys are the right voice to say that.
Thanks for planting that seed, friend.
Yes,
sure.
Right.
I know.
I just wanted to give you one more advice. So as a former administrator, I will say that anytime somebody was going to bring something to me, aligning it to the initiatives that we are initiating as a district and showing me where it fits in, that's always going to get people to be like, what? A support that aligns with district mandated initiatives. So might be something you look at. And those of you out there who are looking at using these visual supports and you want to spread the wealth, go ahead and just tell them how it aligns to something that y'all are doing and how
That's
it
right.
with those kids.
Yeah, and that the guidelines that came out in the fall would be great for that, right?
Oh,
So
100%.
you guys want to explain that? Because I know about it, but most of our viewers won't.
Yeah, so that's the UDL guidelines 3.0. It came.
I'm talking about the DOE guidance.
Oh,
Oh,
the title. Are you talking about Title 288?
or the National Ed Tech Plan, Myths and Facts.
Came out in November, I think. Came out recently.
Yeah, the
Came out
Myths and Facts.
recently.
Myths and facts.
Yes, the myths and facts. It basically said, we recommend you actually follow what UDL says. And this is from the DOE.
Right.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, that's the Myths and Facts document, which we have like lots of graphic cards designed at our sister center sites that you can have access to as well. Just go to sites.org. That's right, Michelle, right? Sites.org.
Yeah, sites.
You can find those visuals.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like, this is the myth, this is the fact, and you need to align with it. So yeah, it's aligned in
sites, CITES.cast.org.
That's right. And universal design for learning is mentioned in there. I can't even remember how many times in that document. I guess it doesn't really matter, Michelle.
Yeah, so UDL, and y'all, it was really cool because we did not like collaborate with the office at all, but they call out universal design for learning in the National Ed Tech Plan several times because universal design for learning helps close those divides. So whether it's the divide for access, looking at the use and the digital, and it's going to help close those. And so it just is really nice alignment with whether it's the AT guidance, myths and facts graphics or the National Ed Tech Plan.
That's right. And there's a card game that just dropped that's available too for your own professional learning, which is pretty cool. You just download it and those are all like resources for you to use and repurpose and all the things, which is pretty great.
All the things.
Which is probably on here somewhere. I'm not going to go find it.
No.
So, all right, we have gone way over what we wanted. So we got DS Wakefield says we should do the special ed residency students every year who take it back to their mentor teachers. Yeah. So
yeah.
So, thank you. We do that as well with all the universities are free with us. So we want them all graduating with licenses. Now, Kelly, are you messing with me again? They can't all be messing with us again.
No, I think they're frozen. We're frozen.
I'm kidding. I was messing.
There we go.
That's back. When you mess with us in the beginning, it makes it hard when there actually is a blip.
I didn't get the memo. Like, hold on, let's do it again.
You were doing really good on that.
Oh, okay.
All right. Let's move on to the next.
Well,
page.
we have to say one more thing,
ma'am.
and one more slide, because we say this. Michelle and I we're on TikTok now, Instagram, all the socials, and we're creating these bite-sized bits for CAS about accessibility, all the things. So if anyone wants us to break down, like Michelle said, when it's hard for us to understand, we know that our teacher friends might have a hard time struggling too. So we're breaking things down that are difficult to understand and making it bite-sized. So friends, accessibility is everyone's responsibility. It's not just your special ed teacher, your OT that has to create all these materials, or your SLPs, everyone. It's everyone's responsibility to ensure that accessibility is in the forefront.
Awesome. Okay. Yay.
Yay.
All right. Let's get on to a couple other things. We're even going to give away some stuff at the end. And I think I'm just randomly going to give them to the people who participated.
I think
What do
if
you
you
think?
make a comment, you're in the
I think that's a good way.
in the
Just pick from
drawing.
it.
We didn't
I'm
mention-
thinking DS Wakefield is way up there because
Right. Yep. Yep. And we will keep an eye on the comments. So I gotta kick to a thing, right?
Oh, really?
Don't I?
Oh, sure.
Is it new stuff?
I would love to share my little thing because I'm going to connect it back to what Kelly and Michelle.
Okay. So you are in the first section, so you're good. We'll do you first.
All right.
All right, here we go.
move.
All right, Beth. We're gonna let you go first. Hold on, you go up here.
All right.
So,
I'm
what's new at LessonPix? Go for it.
I'm going to share. Lori's been talking about this, I think, even at the last Lesson Pick Live, that we've been expanding our thematic units, right? And one of the newest ones that's up that I sort of engineered was our reduce, reuse, recycle, caring for our planet. We know that that's a big topic in science and social studies units and across grade levels. And so this is a new unit that's out there. We've got lots of resources in it. Things like a graphic organizer, like our KWL chart, which is definitely one of those universally designed for learning strategies that you can use, and having that graphic that goes with it. There's lots of other resources in there, but I kind of wanted to, there's vocabulary. I'm going to come right back to that little book. There's vocabulary, there's games, and these are all right there for you to be able to use. If you want to utilize one of these resources, all you have to do is, it signed me out. That's okay. I get signed out of my LessonPix. There we go. Let's get back in. All right. So it's just right there for you to use. You can download it and you're good to go, right? We know that teachers do not have enough time. And so at LessonPix, we want to give you back some time by having resources ready for you. Now, these resources might inspire you to create something else, and that's fantastic too. But it's not, why should you reduplicate the wheel, right? But I wanted to come to this little book here. So this is a really simple book. One of our templates in LessonPix is our books and stories template, and allows you to create your own customized text, because we know that sometimes the resources that might be available commercially are not always the just right fit for all students. And so this is not that one. So this is just a simple book. There we go. This is just a simple book that when you download it, it's a PDF. That's all it is. It is a PDF. And I'm going to say this, it is not an accessible PDF.
Hold on. You don't have to go into that. We're going to talk about that in a minute.
No, but I'm going to show you guys something really awesome that you can do. So I want to make sure that, this is something right now that it's not selectable text, but you can take this into a tool like Cami, which.
Okay, I need to stop you
we
here.
need to stop you here. I got to go first.
Oh, do you have surprises that I don't even know about?
Yes, we need to plan better.
Okay.
We need to plan better.
New
this is why this is
why it.
Right. It's why I moved it to great ideas, which was wrong. But
okay. Well, let me just stop. And I'm just going to end then on, there's all the resources that you need here for this unit or to get you started with this.
That's great.
Okay.
So the big difference, and the thing I was going to show Kelly and Michelle, is that effective Monday, after Beth made that, all of our materials are accessible PDFs. So if you took that exact same book right now, so she did one on Earth Day, I will just.
Are you sharing your screen?
I'm not sharing my screen. I'm sorry. There we go. I'm sharing Beth's screen. So here's our Earth Day activities, right? I am logged in. So when she made this, that is absolutely true. Further up. There you go. When she made this, it was absolutely true that this was being generated as an image. And we converted the text to paths. And so that means that this is not text. And that's a problem. And it was a big problem. It's been a problem for a long time. And it's one that we had a problem fixing.
I'm not seeing your screen, Bill. I don't know if anybody else is having the same issue.
Same. I only see black.
I see black.
You only see black.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, now I see something.
No, that's it. Now we're seeing your screen.
Now I see it.
Now we're seeing it.
All right. So this up until very, very recently, in fact, this Monday, this was generated as an image. And this wasn't because we didn't know better, so we didn't know how. Mm-hmm. One of the problems with this is that if the people don't have the tool that we use was not embedding the fonts, which meant that it would only work with the fonts that they had. And we made a choice years ago that we would want it to look correct.
In 2009.
Right. Prior. So now,
would shift around.
Last week, we did the work to find other tools because I knew you guys were coming on and I knew I was going to hear about it. Didn't know I was going to hear about it from Beth.
I didn't know you did this.
I know. I was a surprise, Beth.
This is awesome.
If you go in now and you create this, and so these are all fine. These are the same words. I'm going to call this Earth Day. And it's plain whole page. When I hit finish, It's going to make a PDF file. And I don't know how long your thing is. When I download it as a PDF this time, you will see that these actually, this one, sorry. So this one, it's text.
Blank.
Look. And it will read to me. So like it'll say,
Way.
Flew from afar.
yeah, you guys probably can't hear that. Let me,
No, we heard it. We heard it. It's good.
all right. So it's quiet, but there you go.
The environment is the surface of the earth.
So yeah, so all of our PDFs are now accessible, Beth. I know you're going to show the fact that you can bring them up in Canvy and it will OCR it for you, Cami, and I appreciate that. But we just fixed it, so don't show the error. So,
Tell me.
all
What
good.
happens when you don't tell me things?
Well, fair enough. So there you go.
This is
There you go.
great.
Woo-hoo. So,
Hillary
yeah,
says,
all
"Woo!"
of these are now accessible. I will tell you there are some tips I can use on this.
Enjoy all parts of the earth.
So if you're doing social stories, do one-page social stories, because one of the problems, it was something we were trying to solve before, is that if there's text on the left and the right because you're doing 2-up social stories, it tends to read across and then down, so your sentences will get out of order. There is no way for us to change that, but if you make them single page, it'll be fine. If you want to print them 2-up, just do that inside of Acrobat. But this will use any of our fonts. It
Many
does embed
landscapes
the
make up
fonts.
Our environment.
Yeah. And they do look perfect. We will probably make this optional. We will make it the default, but we will probably give a way to disable this because there are still some people where this is not accessible because they're in other countries, they're using old PDF viewers and it doesn't handle embedded fonts correctly. So we probably need a way on your account to disable this, right?
Mhm.
So we have to serve both. Right now, we've switched our default from images to accessible PDF files. Sorry, Beth, I should have told you.
That's okay. I'm gonna fix the article and upload the newer version. That's
Right.
You know what
Fair
that deserves? You know what that
And it's-
deserves?
A Razzie? I don't know what.
Oh wait, I've got mine over. I have everything.
I don't have one here in North Carolina.
No,
There is one on my desk in Florida.
There's one in my backpack, 2 stories up.
Yeah, but it's like this big.
It's little.
People are like, I have so many questions.
Right.
I don't
So-
have one.
Michelle, I'm going to use it, but I don't have one.
All right. Okay. What else are we doing on new? We're on new, right? We're on section 2 of this visual schedule.
I think I'm gonna go back to her screen
Yes.
or our screen on
Which one do you want?
this article
Yeah.
about thematic units, reuse, recycle. So the whole thematic units is being filled in with more and more articles constantly. And I like Beth's idea of updating some of the older materials that would generally need more reading, screen readers, like our books and stories.
Right. You know who's going to love it? The literacy folks are going to love it. I realized when I was looking at mine, just kick back here for a second, the fact that this will read to you, right? The words out loud, right?
We enjoy clean parks.
I mean, that right there, literacy folks are going to love.
It's just awesome. Now stay on this one. Now you want to show our in a story.
And I don't know if it's just taking a while to load on yours, but it's black screen. Maybe it's just taking a while for yours to load.
It might.
Is it still black?
Yes.
I will reshare. How about that?
Your video's a little fuzzy, so
I just have to say that made my day. Like Bill, what you just showed us with the screen reading and the fact that it's selectable text just made my day from so many different levels. Because it's not even simply the screen reading. It's like the ability to select a word and be able to use, translation tool on a particular word, to be
Right.
able to copy and paste it into another resource, right? There's just so many ways that having that accessible
We
text
got such bad weather.
enhances these
I think
resources.
that's right. Even changing
Now we
the
can see your stuff, so you're good.
yeah. for students to be able to change the font, that they want is a game changer.
Yep. Are we back? Can you guys see us again?
We can see you.
Okay. And you can see my screen. It's not black.
Everything's perfect.
By the way, we are in the middle of a torrential downpour on a point-to-point link to the other side of the valley during a tropical storm. So
we have our own storm.
we have a separate storm. We have a tropical storm watch in North Carolina while they're waiting for the hurricane at our house in Florida. So whatever.
Just wet.
All right. What are we talking about here?
So I think another part of UDL is providing a topic that we keep talking about, keeps coming up again and again, and that's repetition with variety, whether we're talking about articulation or we're talking about curriculum, just giving kids a lot of opportunities to play with it. And so in our story takes a lot of these stories, and we just did a new one called Holes or Black
You did
Beauty.
two, right? Two recent
Either
ones.
one.
You did this one, Holes.
Mhm. Which, we talk about vocabulary as we're reading different chapters. I have vocabulary words here that go with book holes.
Yep.
But you can also take those same vocabulary words and play a bingo game with it.
Right.
Or use the words for decoding and play. If you scroll down, there's playing cards or dots and boxes games. Just to have as many opportunities to play with these words. And like we've talked about with UDL, it's going to benefit everybody to play with the language that we're using in these books, regardless of the reading level of the version of the book you're reading. Anyway, I wanted to show.
Yep.
And I just want to comment that repetition with variety is so important because it's the way that your brain works when the neurons that fire, if you do just the same thing over and over and over again, you tune out. When you do the same thing and you make a little bit of change, those neurons fire more. And that's where the learning can really occur. And they can see, there's a neurological process that's happening there.
And if you can tie it to play, games.
Even more so.
Right?
Right.
Or independent choices, interests, all these areas are going to make it even more powerful. So, there you go. New. Lots of new stories coming up all the time in a story.
All right. We have
You already did your great
I did my
idea.
great idea. I had to do it
get
early.
to show
So the
you a
other
little
thing
bit
I do want to make sure when we're talking about made it short.
Really?
So the other great idea that we should talk about is the tools that we've made for high contrast, right? So one of the things that people, I've showed it a few times on here, but I'm not sure you two know, all of our symbols now, right? Regardless of any symbol of the 75,000, even the unity symbols, right? If you've got a picture and you need a high contrast version of it, like the ASL for cry, and for some reason,
Cry? You want to go on a sad one? Okay.
You know what? You are a pain in the butt. How about embarrassed? Frustrated. We have good. So hungry. If you want to make this high contrast, you can go in here, hit recolor. I'm going to zoom out so you guys can see better.
Can you see the screen?
Can you see the screen, or is it black?
Yes.
Okay. So when you go to recolor this, you can change the color. Like if you want to change the color of your shirt and things like that, and it works. But we've added these tools where you can say, okay, I want a black background. And here it says high contrast filters. So we worked with the Maryland School for the Blind. Beth will know the name of the folks we work with, of what these filters should
Aaron
look.
Nord and Jennifer Keenan and their crew there.
Our default just makes it high contrast. And if this child needs it on a dark blue background, you can just hit the button update and it'll just do that.
And there's a lot more
Right.
tweaks you can do
So
within this.
You can change, once you're done with it, you can still change the colors individually. You can change the outline color as well. So you can always undo these. So if, for example, you had your original picture and you just wanted this outline color to be red, right? That is something that people ask for specifically, and maybe thicker. It will actually make the outline red and thicker so you can see it better. Another thing about our symbols that people don't realize is that every one of our symbols that we drew, there is a black and white version of it. So if, for example, you wanted a crayon, there is a straight black and white crayon. And one of the things early on that people asked us to do was to make these available in a format that would work with Braille embossers for people to feel. Right. And so we make this available in a PNG and an SVG, both of which are very commonly used with Braille.
Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry. I mean, that was whoa. I didn't really
go off,
I thought that was Michelle.
So, all right. So those are the other great ideas. What else do you want to do today, Lori? What else are
Well,
we
we're
doing?
over our hour, so I do think we need to start
We're not
winding
shy.
down. What we do is we do break this video up into clips,
Yep.
and we'll share the bits and pieces forever.
We should give away at least a couple
I would say
lessons.
we need to give away a couple things. We've got, Hillary and
Sure.
DS
Well, I think
Wakefield.
DS Wakefield has commented the most of all of these, right? She is in Chicago. She forgot to say she was in Chicago.
Ooh.
And so she has commented probably more than any new people here.
Alyssa's the first.
Alyssa is the first, but Alyssa doesn't pay for her lesson. She does her training and she doesn't pay for her LessonPix. Giving her a LessonPix isn't going to help much. But you know what? Hillary Goldthwait Fowles probably could use a free renewal.
Maybe.
I can vouch for that. She's
I think so.
in it. She really leans into it.
I think these are two great people. So if you guys would like $25 gift cards to Amazon or a free year, whether that's an extension or a new LessonPix license or gift certificate to give somebody else, reach out to Beth and ask her, and she'll be happy to get it to you.
Yep, Beth@lessonpix.com. Just send me an email. Let me know which. Otherwise I'll search for you all on Facebook and DM you. I've got Hillary's contact, so I know how to get a hold of her.
Good. All right, folks. Well, thank you for being with us. We're going to do this again, but not for a couple weeks, right?
Oh my gosh, they're frozen again.
Okay, we're done. We're sorry.
You're
Not
not
sorry.
right to do that.
So fun.
So, all right, we are going to go back to stressing out about our house in Florida and whether or not it's underwater. The rest of you guys can go back to whatever fun thing you're doing this evening.
Sending y'all thoughts for sure. Positive.
Best wishes for everybody in Florida, especially in the Big Bend area.
Yeah.
We are very thankful that it is not a direct hit on our house because that would be bad.
I know we're commenting about the people in Western North Carolina and Tennessee. There's some major flooding going on.
There's going to be
here.
30 inches of
And
rain over 24 hours
hurricanes
here.
Taking all the news, but there's actually quite a lot going on around here too.
Yeah. And then we're going to get hit by that when it comes up.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Right after all this rain, we're going to get all that rain.
Yeah.
So now, and by the way, Alyssa Warren confirms that the literacy folks love the
she
PDF.
confirms it. Then.
That's right. That's
When they're chicken dinner.
known.
No offense to those chickens. So cover their ears.
Yeah, we're so grateful. Thank you so much for having us. This has been so much fun.
I'm so glad you came on, and we will see you at Closing the Gap. For anybody who don't know, Closing the Gap is October 23rd
2nd to 25th
in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We will be there.
We'll
with
be
a
there.
crew and a-
Look at Donna's awesome idea. Look at the last comment from Donna.
This one?
She uses the LessonPix trading cards for her students to introduce.
Oh,
I
Cool.
love it.
That.
I love
That
it.
is such a clever idea. I'm always looking for, when people ask like, well, how can I make this apply to like older students? I'm always looking for that. I love it. That's a perfect one.
All right, and
I have my scratch offs that I used.
Yeah.
Hey.
those are awesome. And
Those are
Donna,
fun.
make sure that your grad students do get it for free, right? Because it's free for them. Make sure you reach out to Beth about that as well. All right, I'm going to let everybody go. Everybody, thank you for being here. You four, 5 of us. Hang out for a minute. We're going to chat for a minute. But everybody else, have a great night. We'll answer any questions you have in the comments, and we'll be watching that today or tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
Stay safe, those of you that are out there in hurricane land.
Harm's way.